Hello folks, and welcome to episode 6 of The Mind Probe, the weekly show reviewing the latest Doctor Who episode recorded here in Second Life in the Doctor Who Expo, that is the Katrina Sim in Second Life. As always, I am Victor First, and with me today is Marine Dalek Tomorrow, Nodster TARDIS and Ezzy McAlpine, co-owners of the Doctor Who Expo. Say hello, chaps.
Hello.
Hello, chaps.
Hello.
So, yeah, episode 6. Almost People. Now, as we all know, if you've been watching the show so far, we usually kick off with general thoughts and impressions of this episode, remembering that it is part 2 of a two-parter. Nodster.
Well,
On the spot.
I don't know it. This is odd.
Yeah.
I hate you, Izzy.
Like
Okay,
I said, I changed the system this time. That's why I'm not sitting next to Victor.
and that makes you immune, doesn't it?
It does.
Fair
Look,
enough.
it obviously worked because I'm not first this week.
Well, anyway, I thought it was better than last week's. It still definitely should have only been one episode. As for the ending, that was great. The rest of it was just okay.
So all in all, average, basically. Marine.
Yes.
I enjoyed it. I mean, it had things to keep it going. There weren't really any boring bits, except maybe when they were like, oh, let's go to the evacuation tower. Oh, no, yes, they'll be going to the evacuation tower. It did feel a bit pointless, but there were bits thrown in, like obviously the two doctors and the interaction between them, and the one who we thought was the clone grabbing hold of Amy. There were interesting bits in it. I liked it.
Mr. McAlpine.
Well, I think there's quite a few fun moments in it. Now, obviously, you had the banter between the two, doctors finishing each other's sentences off, and then Amy's one, and obviously the part where he's sort of trying to stabilise his regenerations, whatever have you. We had all the different voices and stuff, ranging from Hartnell to Pertwee to Baker to Tennant, like the part where he says, "We've moved on from that." Finally got rid of Tennant. Hooray! Anyway, yeah, good bits in it. A few curveballs here and there, which was always good. Keeps the suspense up and whatever have you, and it still had a bit of dodgy CGI in it, I think. But other than that, meh, it was alright.
Well, as for me, I thought the episode before this one, which was The Rebel Flesh, was meh. And apart from the last 5 minutes of the latest episode, I think this episode was meh as well. It should have been a one-parter. They stretched the story out for far too long. Okay, the acting was, as always, absolutely fantastic. Great supporting cast, great direction, great producers, but they stretched it out. They just stretched it out for far too long. Now, because this episode is kind of boring, apart from the few funny bits, which we'll keep for the favourite moment part, what we're going to do is something a little bit different. We're going to pick on one of these three people sitting with me and look at their crazy ideas for this episode. And we're going to pick on Nod.
Yes, it
Nod.
wasn't me again.
Why do you think that the Flesh are Autons?
Because he's a numpty.
Because the doctor said I wanted to see them, what did he say? I wanted to see them in their beginning stages, and
Caveman Autons.
everything
then.
about them,
Is that what you're sort of saying?
everything about them resembles how Autons work.
No.
No.
Yes.
No.
Incidentally, immediately after he said he wanted to see them in the beginning stages, he gave the reason for that, which is because Amy was made of flesh. Well, no, you know what I mean, made of the flesh.
Ginger flesh.
So you don't really
God.
need to be a genius to infer that the reason the Doctor went back to see them in the beginning stages was because he needed to know how to stop them controlling Amy.
Well, I still think
sorry.
they're Autons.
Can I just divert the attention from this minor sort of bit of conversation and just point out, sometimes you look at Amy, you're like, yeah, but no, it's like Ginger, but yeah, but no, and it's sort of, yeah, I don't know what you guys think about that.
What's he talking about?
I think we should
Trying to find her
move the
attractive and
subject on.
stuff.
What he's basically asking is, would you kick her out of bed?
Oh, right.
God.
Well, I mean, not
Honestly?
being Ginger
No,
in real life,
no.
yeah, exactly. I mean, you being Ginger in real life, I don't think you really have that sort of problem, I suppose.
This goes down for everyone to know I am not Ginger,
He's lying.
okay?
I've seen
And
photos.
I wouldn't kick her out of bed either.
Why is he?
See,
got
folks,
orange hair?
this is what happens when the episode's boring. We just start taking the piss out of each other. Now, looking at the episode itself, there isn't really much to pick on, but there is a few little
Ginger.
snippets. Yeah, shut up. There is a few little snippets at the end, and that's what we're going to concentrate on before we give our... In fact, you know what? This is what we'll do now. This is going to be a really short episode, but what we'll do now, we'll just skip it because it was mostly filler. Let's face it, folks. This episode was mostly filler.
Well,
I guess, yeah, it was.
I don't know. I mean, it seemed like...
Next time, shall we hire an impartial adjudicator?
I generally think that these two episodes, it felt like two different episodes bolted together, if that makes any sort of sense. I mean,
Yeah, I agree.
You had the story going on, which seemed to be sort of brushed under the carpet a bit, you know, with the gangers and stuff like that. And then you had the whole, I don't know, the duplicate doctor, and then you got the bit at the end where she's in that pipe and that woman's looking at her or whatever, you know, the woman with the eye patch, you know, and obviously then she gets, Amy then gets, like, I don't know, liquidized.
I was right about one thing though. The flesh did get saved.
I mean, I have to say and agree with Ezzy that it did feel like separate episodes, but they were linked, but they still felt like separate episodes, and it shouldn't have been like that. This is why I think it should have been a one-parter anyway.
Yeah. Didn't need to be two episodes.
Let's do a quick whip round. We've got Mr. Yes Man who never says anything negative about any Doctor Who episode at all. Marine, one-parter or two-parter? What do you think?
Two-parter, for exactly the reasons you've said it should be a one-parter.
Told you. He's James Mace.
Because if the episodes feel separate, then surely they should be separate. If they've got a different feel. So if you shove them into a one-parter, you'd all be going, oh, the first half and the second half feel completely separate. Why didn't they make it a two-parter?
Yeah, you say that, but, you know, yeah, okay, the first episode, what does it actually cover? It says, oh, right, okay, we've gone to the monastery, we've got our characters who've been duplicated, oh, look, one's melted, oh, strangely, he's come back, you know, here comes the Doctor, and here comes everyone else, oh, he gets duplicated, and, you know, that's more or less the first, you know, 1.5 bits of the episode, both episodes, you know, combined.
I know they're trying to tell the story of how it all started, etc., but did it really need to be that long?
No.
Marine, not Marine, we've done Marine already. Nodster, one-part or two-parter?
One part.
Easy.
Two-part because I'm a sadist. Okay, I'm just kidding. No, it's just one part.
Well, I think it should have been a one-parter as well, which wouldn't have really done much for the score anyway, because I thought the whole story arc was kind of, nah. Anyway, moving on, folks, we're going to go on to our favourite part of the episode, this time starting with Ezzy.
Favourite part?
Yep.
I suppose when you had the very beginning of the second part, where the Doctor's trying to stabilise the clone one, or the ganger version of him, was trying to stabilise, and we heard all the different voices. I really liked that bit. But someone that was actually complaining to me, just talking to me yesterday about this, saying, why do they have to keep harking back to the old classic stuff? And I'm like, well, I liked that. It's like referring back to the sort of lore of the whole series, you know, I think is a nice reference to it that is sort of continuing. I don't think we saw that too much during the RTD era that much, you know, not references, you know, like, I suppose with this new or two series we've seen so far, you know, Moffat's definitely tried to put some stuff in there, you know, like the one where he pulls his library card out in the first Matt Smith series, where it's got like the picture of William Hartnell on it and stuff, and obviously there are other references which I've really appreciated in this sort of series so far. But yeah, I think that was my favourite part in the episode.
Okay, we've had Ezzy's favourite part of the episode. Who's next? Let's see. Nodster.
There were a couple of good bits. Ezzy's in particular was great. Other than that, when we found out that the Doctors had switched boots, and the whole Amy part actually relating to the clone instead of the real Doctor, that was kind of different. I did like that bit.
Marine.
I like the part where they're in the TARDIS at the end, and the Doctor's sort of being all menacing towards Amy because he knows that she's essentially a ganger, and he tells Rory to back away, and almost instantly Rory just backs away. Like, even though everyone's frightened, Rory still backs away and trusts the Doctor to do that. I thought that was a nice touch.
Can I add on to that quickly, Marine? In these last 2 episodes, do you think Rory's been more like a lemon? You know, no disrespect to Arthur Darvill. I mean, why was he so infatuated with that Jennifer character? Sort of tried to protect her and, you know, being manly and stuff.
Partly because obviously he's a nurse, so he would be predisposed to the whole helping people thing. But I think because Amy's so independent, he sort of feels a need to sort of prove himself. So he latched on to someone else who was in need to try and help them, to make himself feel better.
Did you notice 2 things in this episode as well? One, he said, I'm a nurse, again, for like the 3rd or 4th time this series, and he didn't die.
Yeah, he didn't die, which was kind of strange.
Yeah, we now need 2 more deaths in
Amy
one
died,
episode
Ish,
of Rory,
sort of,
so that I can get the
game.
12 right.
I can't remember what else said. I think there's 5 or 6.
I'm keeping count here because I need to be right.
Well,
Maurice
as for
was
me-
with his 20.
I think I said 12 from what I remember. I need to watch that episode again. But as for me, for the favourite part, must have been the whole, oh look, Amy's a ganger, kind of. I had never seen that coming, and it was the only outstanding bit of this episode I actually liked, because it was that point that made me think, oh, never seen that coming. Nice bit of writing there. Shame the rest of the story was absolute crap. Moving on, before we do the scores, as we all know, the next episode of Doctor Who, which is coming up this Saturday, will be the last part of the first chunk of the series. So what we're going to do is, we've all seen the trailer. We all seen the trailer? We have, haven't we?
Yes.
Anyone not
Yes.
seen the trailer? Excellent. What we're going to do, a quick 1 minute whip round of what you think is going to happen for the cliffhanger for the next episode. Marine.
Well, for the cliffhanger, that's quite tricky, not hardly being able to tell what's actually going on in the actual episode. I don't know. Possibly someone will turn up. See, there are so many ways that they can do a cliffhanger mid-season. Maybe they'll do a bit like they did at the end of the last season, where they sort of resolve the immediate problem, but leave something hanging. I don't know.
Oh. Easy.
Well, the thing being, I know there's 2 big things coming up in this episode. Obviously, we've got an old enemy coming back.
3 old enemies coming back, haven't we?
Well, as far as I'm aware, we've also got the Cybermen coming back. I don't know the others.
We've got Santarans and Silurians as well.
Okay, so it's all going to kick off between those lot.
Maybe.
Or maybe
Anyway,
not.
But I don't know. It's hard because obviously we've got the baby in this episode as well. And is that baby that little girl in The Impossible Astronaut? Don't know, do you?
Well, have you watched the prequel, actually? Because there's the trailer and there's the prequel.
Yes.
Yeah, with the
Yes.
big blue bloke.
Yes.
He's implying that they are holding the Doctor's child. But is that the baby, or is it... Oh no, it can't be Jenny, because the actress was pregnant.
There is a
Unless it's just a head, a disembodied head floating around, sort of Dimensions in Time style.
I think we're going to find out, obviously, whose River is. And, I mean, I've seen on the net who she possibly is, but I won't obviously say it in here at the moment because that could be considered spoilers and I wouldn't want to spoil something like that. So I'm going to keep that to myself. But, yeah, I mean, it's going to be one of those, they're all going to be separated possibly, and it's going to be about him finding them, or there's going to be some big thing that you don't think they're going to come back from. You know, someone's going to get converted or something, or someone's going to die or something like that, or I don't know. I mean, it's too, you can't predict it, I don't think. I mean, it's not, I think Moffat, in his sort of way of writing and stuff, and I think he basically will have something you'll think is bad, and then it'll just be completely, again, a curveball in the next episode, so I don't know. I can't say.
Nod star.
Okay, dealing with the spoilers front, the whole conspiracy theory about River Song that's floating around the internet, I think you're all wrong, but I'm not going to give you what I think it is. The little girl, the little girl theory, I've got one for that, but I'm not going to say what that is either. As for what I think will happen in the next episode, is that Amy's baby will pop out to be a little Dalek.
What?
Just throwing this out there. What? It's a good idea. I think it's a fantastic idea. It'll be a little Dalek, because Moffat has already said he's shelved them for a while, which hopefully means that they'll be back next year at the minimum. But I want Daleks now.
Do you hear that,
Yeah, I'll go
Moffat?
with that.
Nodster wants Daleks back now. Here's what I think's going to happen. I think that the whole reason that the kid was kidnapped is because a certain Time Lord who has only appeared twice in the entire history of this entire sci-fi series will show up at the very end of the next episode, and that will be the cliffhanger, and that's the person that the Doctor is going to war with, because it did say a good man is going to war. That's the only thing I can think of.
I know
And the
which one you're
signs,
talking about.
yep, and the signs for this particular ex-Time Lord has been showing up all through the Matt Smith tenure. The little symbols that you see here and there, I think that's who's going to show up for the cliffhanger. He shows up, and then it's, do, and all that crap. And that's what I think. That's honestly what I think is going to happen. Because the signs have been there.
I don't think that it wouldn't be much of a cliffhanger, though, would it, for the new viewers? They'd be like, "Oh," the Doctor be like, "Oh no," and everyone would just be, "What?"
I'm saying that Vic saying what he just said. I now know who he's referring to. That now gives me 3 theories of this little girl. And I'm not going to tell anyone any of them.
Well, before we bring this episode to a close, folks, we all know what comes next. It's the scoring. And before you give the score, the worst part of the latest episode that you didn't like, and then, of course, your score. Nodster.
The whole of episode 1, pretty much. Score? I think I'll give it a 4, based on the back end of this episode. Because
That's
that was
rather
just
generous.
fantastic. But that whole section was brilliant. It was a jaw dropper, and finding out that Amy was, in fact, Auton, living flesh. That
You won't let that go, will
that
you?
wasn't expected.
You just-
No, you're right. I
You
won't.
just won't let that go.
I will not let that go because it's true. End of.
Because you're a tart.
So I'll give it a 4.
Okay, we got a 4 from Mr. Nodster. Mr. McAlpine.
I would like to give it a 3.
That's more average, yep.
Do I have to justify that? I mean, yeah, the first episode let it down, to be honest. I just didn't think it warranted to be a 2-parter. It could have been done in 1 episode, and then we could have had something else. But it's obviously, as in most series, you do get the odd filler episode. You know, it happened in the last series where it was building up to the finale, and obviously saving the budget, aren't they, for something big. So I can appreciate they want to save some money, do a filler episode where they don't have to go to too many locations and stuff. Because let's be honest here, they probably filmed in studio in that castle. Where else was it? In that office part where obviously they dropped off those people to go and say, yeah, we're gangers and blah 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 blah. But yeah, I think it's just a money saver, to be honest.
So there we go. Marine.
You would have hoped that they could have got a child actor that was a bit less wooden. I mean, they do exist. It's just when the ganger version of his dad runs off, and he's just sort of standing like a, "Daddy, where's my daddy?" It's very, very robotic.
Oh God, yeah.
That was my least favourite bit. But no, I mean the whole thing with the 2 doctors, that was well done. It wasn't overindulgent, and of course Amy telling the wrong doctor about his death.
Oh yeah. I forgot about that bit. Can I add another 0.5 on my score, please?
So what's your score now?
3.5.
And what's your score, Marine?
My score, I think it recovered well from the first episode. The first episode was alright. I do think it was a good second part for it. I'm going to give it a preemptive 5, because I know what Vic's going to give it.
Oh, for God, you're giving this a 5.
Tactical voting.
Well, as for me, to bring this episode to a close, this shouldn't have been a 2-parter. This should have been a 1-parter. If they were going to make a 2-parter, they should have made the Doctor's wife a 2-parter, because that whole storyline deserved to be a 2-parter. My worst part of this episode is everything between the first 5 minutes and the last 5 minutes. And because of that, the score I'm giving this is a 2.
It's a bit harsh.
So, well, that's me, because I'm just a harsh type of person. So we've had 4, 3.5, 5 and 2. What is the average, Mr. Marine Dalek?
I think it comes out as a 4, actually.
See, that's you and your bloody 5 vote for my arse. So it's a 4, that's a Centauran, isn't it?
4 is a Cyberman.
So,
You
there we go,
buckets.
folks. There we go, folks. This episode got an average of 4, which I think in my eyes is a complete and utter travesty, and the only reason it got an average of 4 is because Marine done tactical voting. Anyway, that's it for this episode
It's
of
like
the
bloody
Mind
Estonia
Probe.
or something.
Yeah, exactly. That's it for this episode of the Mind Probe, folks. I am Victor First Mornington. Don't forget to join us sometime next week for the review of the final episode of this part of Series 6. You are joined by Ezzy McAlpine, Nodster TARDIS and Marine Dalek. Say goodbye, chaps.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye, chaps.
Look forward to next week's 5-star from Marine, even though it could be bogus.
Yeah, he's giving
Just
them all
saying
a
what we're all
5-star.
thinking.
That's it from me, folks. Have a good one. Don't forget to tune in next week for the next episode of The Mind Probe. Catch you later on. Bastard Marine with your tactical voting. You're just doing that to bump up the average.